Coming up, Tzu Chi volunteers in Italy provide relief assistance to refugees in Perugia. The Philippines TIMA Chapter held a training session to recruit medical personnel for their upcoming free clinics. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Lee-Shioda. Thank you for joining us. We begin today's program in Europe. Tzu Chi volunteers continue to offer their love and care for refugees at a refugee station in Perugia, Italy. This recent visit took on the festive atmosphere of a birthday celebration as volunteers invited everyone to celebrate their new life. Rustic scenes of Taiwan's countryside are played in the background of this refugee center here in Italy. Everyone gets up to dance to a traditional Chinese song to momentarily forget their worries. These refugees respond warmly to the volunteers' friendliness. Three friends even incorporated Tzu Chi into a song. It is rare to see the refugee station this festive. Volunteers invite everyone to the front to celebrate not just a birthday, but their rebirth.
They said that this was the first time someone had celebrated their birthday. They felt cared for and loved. They are glad to have the opportunity to express their gratitude inside their heart.
I am very happy, and I felt the love and care from volunteers. Our skin is a different color, but the love is the same.
Volunteers present a small relief fund to the refugees with the money collected from a bamboo coin bank set up at a local store. This Spanish translator wearing a yellow volunteer's vest was especially moved upon learning of Tzu Chi's disaster relief efforts in quick-torn Ecuador.
My parents grew up in Ecuador in the area where the earthquake hit. Although they moved here, we still have many relatives living in the area. When we heard about the devastation, we were distraught. Thankfully, my relatives only suffered material losses. I'm very thankful Tzu Chi volunteers have been able to provide updated news about this area.
Each person holds a lamp as volunteers lead everyone in a prayer for Ecuador, as well as prayer for a better future for these refugees, leaving everyone's hearts filled with gratitude. In Haiti, Tzu Chi volunteers recently held an aid distribution from June 21st through the 22nd. At the little schools of Father Bowen in La Saline district, volunteers successfully distributed 5,740 bags of rice to 2,870 households. This year's distribution was more orderly than previous years because Tzu Chi had gained the trust of the people, and also because a team of students, teachers, and Franciscans devoted their energy to assist as volunteers.
At first sight, one cannot see the full extent of all the care recipients carrying their rice. On the first day, 1,605 families have received aid in the form of rice. They are all disadvantaged families living in the neighborhood of Haiti's Port-au-Prince and the little schools of Father Bowen. To get everyone's attention and effectively help these residents, volunteers must stand on an elevated space so their voice will carry. Every household will receive 2 large bags of rice from Taiwan. To keep things orderly, lines move through cordoned areas and police are there to monitor the situation. Father Tzu Chi has also organized 85 students to assist in distributing the rice, along with 40 teachers from a nearby school who also came to help.
It's a special afternoon because we have a lot of students helping us. I hope they can become volunteers of Tzu Chi Foundation.
On the second day, distribution is held at the same location, offering aid to impoverished families living in the neighborhood of St. Antoine Kindergarten in Sun City. A total of 1,265 families received aid on this day. Queuing under the hot sun, people grow restless. However, once they have received their rice, the smiles on everyone's faces gives the volunteers a feeling of satisfaction after their day of hard work.
全部的这个装米线。
Considering all the loading and unloading of bags of rice, you could say in a single day over 10,000 bags from the warehouse to the trucks and then distributing them to the people. Every one bag would need to be picked up and moved at least 3 times. If the total rice distributed to Port-au-Prince was 20,000 bags, then you could say we moved 60,000 bags. Besides the local volunteers and charities and the American volunteers, the biggest heroes today were the students of the little schools of Father Bonin.
技术学校的学生。
This is the 3rd year that Tzu Chi has been delivering rice and care to residents in Haiti. Everyone was thankful this year for the orderly distribution, which everyone agrees is a sign of progress.
In Indonesia, prior to the end of Ramadan, Tzu Chi volunteers held an aid supply distribution for impoverished families in northern Jakarta. Many recipients expressed their gratitude for Tzu Chi's assistance, which will lessen their financial burdens as they celebrate Eid al-Fitr.
Before distributing aid supplies, Tzu Chi volunteers first assess the residents' needs according to information provided by the bureau chief. In Indonesia's Kampung Mara, most residents are elderly and impoverished. 78 volunteers organize supplies to be distributed to residents, hoping they can enjoy lavish meals to celebrate Eid al-Fitr.
The volunteers work as a team, so everything is going smoothly.
At the distribution held in a junior high school, one recipient remarks that the bag of rice and food are precious gifts for her, since she lives alone without income.
I am grateful to receive supplies to meet my daily needs.
Then a granddaughter helps her grandmother, who has vision and mobility problems, carry the supplies.
She cannot see, so we young people help her carry the supplies. We are grateful to Tzu Chi for helping us. It helps us save on our daily expenses.
Volunteers also help other seniors carry rice.
I am happy despite being tired because I can help a lot of people.
I'm grateful to Tzu Chi for caring for our residents, especially the seniors.
As they give out supplies imbued with their best wishes, volunteers also relish in the joy of giving.
In Turkey, where the dominant religion is Islam, followers must fast during the 30 days of Ramadan. By experiencing the hardship of fasting, Muslims cleanse their souls and focus their minds while cultivating compassion for those who live in poverty and expressing gratitude for one's own blessings. Tzu Chi volunteers in Turkey have been preparing for a scheduled aid distribution at the end of Ramadan.
It's early morning here in Turkey, and this is one of the final days of the Muslim holy month of Ramadan. Refugees from neighboring Syria are still practicing pious devotion to their religious traditions, even after having to flee their homelands.
Ramadan is a time to celebrate blessings. I have so much respect for the feeling we get during Ramadan. It is a beautiful thing, and I'm so blessed.
With hearts full of blessings, this group of Syrian volunteers arrives at the Tzu Chi liaison office in Turkey, eager to get started preparing for the aid distribution.
Acting as a volunteer fills my heart with happiness. It gives all of us a joyous heart.
Throughout the month of Ramadan, Muslims are restricted from eating or drinking for 17 hours a day, which can lead to fatigue and malnourishment. However, while the body suffers, it is a time for the mind to atone and for Muslims to practice patience and cleanse their spirit.
Of course we are tired, but it's a happy kind of tired. Doing good will fill a person with joy.
Seeing all of our Muslim brothers, the Syrian volunteers were all very eager to help at this distribution. Not a single person declined. I really think this reflects how we have cultivated understanding and sincere mutual desire to help others in the past half year.
After the hardship of fasting for Ramadan, Tzu Chi volunteers in Turkey and volunteers from Syria are eager to complete this especially meaningful aid distribution.
On June 23rd, torrential rain brought on flash flooding to West Virginia on the east coast of the United States. 44 counties were heavily affected and declared to be in a state of emergency. In order to best offer their assistance, Tzu Chi volunteers from New Jersey headed out on the 29th to survey the damages.
The heavy rainstorm that hit the east coast of the United States at the end of June left 44 West Virginia counties inundated, over 30,000 families affected, and at least 23 fatal casualties.
Say right from
from Big Draft Road down to the creek over here, just this area right in here. Probably 60, 70 families, something like that, maybe more.
On the 29th of June, Tzu Chi volunteers from New Jersey traveled some 500 kilometers on a 9-hour journey to reach the flood-devastated region. Looking at their mud-laden homes, local residents are at a loss as how to begin the cleanup work.
You're standing here, the water's over your head.
Like this?
Yeah.
Wow.
Amongst the devastation, one can see the outpouring of love from charity organizations as well as disaster victims themselves, giving out free food and daily necessities.
You're blessed in your life. It's important to make sure you share those blessings with other people. And sometimes that means even when things aren't perfect for you, you got to make sure you take care of your fellow people.
Tzu Chi volunteers have already discussed with the local Red Cross on their willingness to provide further assistance in hopes to hold a relief distribution for the victims in the quickest time possible.
Also in the United States, but moving to the West Coast, Tzu Chi Great Love Preschool in Monrovia, California celebrated the 4th of July with plenty of food and games. The children were introduced to American history in a fun and memorable way. Here's more.
These children are familiar with the American flag. A teacher at Tzu Chi Great Love Preschool has integrated this image of patriotism by having the children recreate the flag through fruit and crackers.
Did you use the fruit to make a flag?
Yes.
So what kind of fruit do you use?
Blueberry, strawberry.
The flag's 3 colors are recreated using fruit and crackers. Along with the crackers, the teacher also brought in strawberry jello that is also very popular. With fresh whipped cream and blue sprinkles on top, the children enjoyed the dessert immensely.
We are making jello because it's American birthday.
Yeah! By using food and games, the children are able to learn about the history of America in a fun and engaging way.
In Jiangsu's阜寧County, Tzu Chi volunteers are continuing to actively help the community recover from a tornado. In addition to providing Jingsi folding beds, they also brought buckets and brooms to do the work that few care to do, cleaning the toilets. These actions carried out by Tzu Chi volunteers are helping to bring hope and vitality back into the community.
Carrying buckets and holding scrub brushes, Tzu Chi volunteers show a willingness to do tasks that others abhor.
We want to give them a clean environment to live in.
Banhu Central Elementary School is housing more than 100 households affected by the disaster. This is causing the school's toilets to be quite dirty, along with a terrible stench. Tzu Chi volunteers took the initiative to do the dirty work, even recruiting a few members staying at the temporary shelter to help out.
I'm very grateful for your coming here to help us clean up and take care of sanitation, allowing everyone to live a little bit more comfortably.
Although it's just a toilet, we wanted them to feel like it's a clean place. And when they enter, perhaps they can feel a little more comfortable. Maybe our influence can help more people come together to keep this area clean.
After the tornado, Tzu Chi volunteers are carrying out actions every day to help lighten the sad mood of disaster victims.
我们所有的家人都很平安，所以你们2个是不是很有福？
对，有福。
你们是不是很有福？
有福。
对。
Tzu Chi volunteers are working to create a happy atmosphere at the shelter, allowing children and the elderly to gradually sweep away the clouds of despair. In addition to aiding the villagers affected by the disaster, Tzu Chi volunteers bring fruits and treats to relief workers and the hospital's medical staff, treating these patients. This has led many to be quite curious about this youthful, spirited volunteer team.
您老今年多大年纪了？
你看我将近70岁。
啊，您都将近70岁了。
对，但是我最大的幸福跟福报。
Now the sounds of encouragement as well as a little laughter can finally be heard at this temporary shelter for disaster victims, assuring everyone they are on the road to recovery.
Staying in China, Tzu Chi volunteers in Suzhou held a 2-day training class sharing their experiences with 277 volunteers in training from Eastern China. Learning about Tzu Chi's history and the experiences of the senior volunteers, the attendees will be better prepared to spread love and compassion back in their hometown.
A 2-day training class for the volunteers in training in Eastern China is held at Tzu Chi Suzhou grounds. 277 attendees are eager to know how the experienced volunteers carry out Tzu Chi's work.
Back then, it was difficult to ask university students to wear uniforms, not to mention asking the teachers to wear uniforms and adopt a vegetarian diet. Then we see that the master tells us if it's the right thing, we should just do it.
Learning from the past experiences of other volunteers, these attendees are learning about how to carry out their work in the future.
What the master is doing is saving the human race and the earth, and also our next generation. So I'll remember the master's words and I'll start doing it.
They will learn about the history of charity missions and the methods. They can copy it and apply it after they go back.
Learning from the senior volunteers, they will be able to spread love and compassion in different parts of Eastern China.
Also about spreading love and compassion to more parts of the world, TIMA Philippines Chapter hosted a training session inviting local medical personnel to participate in the large-scale free clinics in Manila and Tacloban in July and August. This time, some 103 medical personnel signed up. Let's take a look.
In what year did Master Chen Yan establish Tzu Chi? Go!
The answer is 1966. Yeah.
To educate people about Tzu Chi, these games are being held to test their knowledge. Filipino medical doctors also share their experience of offering free clinic services, which have helped change the fate of the poor. One traditional Chinese medicine doctor, Helen Manahan, was inspired by the work of volunteers during Typhoon Haiyan, leading her to participate later.
I entered the hall para mag-sign. My tears fell kasi maybe that's tears of joy.
TIMA in the Philippines invite medical staff to jointly participate in upcoming free clinics in Manila and Tacloban. Sister Mary John Racines is actively traveling around and doing her best to recruit participants.
I echo to them my experience of being at the Tzu Chi Foundation because the experience is very great, and at the same time you really feel being one, or you belong to one family.
So far, this upcoming free clinic has already enlisted 103 medical staff who will be working together regardless of race or religion, instead all sharing the common goal of easing the suffering of others.
Soon after the Formosa Fun Coast Water Park explosion, the new Taipei city government immediately ordered the suspension of the facility until clear responsibility for the disaster could be determined. New Taipei City also implemented a new set of ordinances to protect the safety of participants at large-scale activities. These new measures indicate that municipal governments and the general public hope to learn a few lessons from this tragedy.
The Formosa Fun Coast Water Park is the largest water park of its kind in northern Taiwan. However, it's now 1 year after deadly blast, and the new Taipei city government continues to order its indefinite closure.
Normally busy in the summer, Formosa Fun Coast Water Park is now empty, aside from a few cleaning staff and security guards. After the deadly blast occurred, New Taipei City's Social Welfare Department established an account to accept donations, which totaled $52.7 million. Two different distributions were made. The first to cover daily living expenses, which was more than $3.1 million. The second was according to the severity of their injury and their family status, which involved $34.1 million in funds. Currently, some $15.5 million remain. However, some wonder if this amount is enough to care for victims, given the difficulty of their rehabilitation.
The most serious injuries may require 3 to 5 years of rehabilitation. We definitely need to save about $15.5 million for those who were seriously injured, giving them follow-up support as well as medical rehabilitation and assistance in returning to normal life.
The swimming pool, which suffered from this devastating accident, is still charred black from the night. reminding people of the horror of the accident. For this reason, New Taipei City implemented new regulations. Events with more than 1,000 people that last for 2 continuous hours need to get approval from the municipal government.
Organizers of events have to undertake safety checks, make sure there are no hazardous goods, and prepare for evacuation as well as medical provisions and building safety. As for outdoor events, we need to make sure municipal government units review and provide suggestions and ensure these recommendations are followed.
However, some experts believe that this isn't enough, as special standards should be followed.
You need to have an objective standard to measure how many people can be in a place, how many resources have been dedicated, and if government resources are sufficient. They must be able to judge and have a certain standard.
The Formosa Fun Coast Water Park explosion has caused large-scale events to dramatically decrease. Though with summer arriving, these activities have begun to return. The government reminds everyone that safety is very important and to pay attention to the surrounding environment. Pay attention to the general environment, observe the professionalism of staff, and how to evacuate the scene. And in general, they advise more people to be vigilant about their own personal safety.
For the past year, the Tzu Chi Foundation has worked to establish 26 senior service stations in different communities throughout Hualien. Zhuhe Borough was the first to renew its contract with Tzu Chi, and in Tongmen Village, Tzu Chi held a training session for local volunteers. Let's take a look.
A cup of tea not only reminds the seniors of their mothers, but also helps them build strong bonds between Tzu Chi volunteers and residents in Zhuhe Borough.
You are just like my mother. I feel the warmth of your love and compassion.
Since Zhuhe Borough and the Tzu Chi Foundation set up an elderly service station last year, Tzu Chi volunteers have never missed these weekly meals for seniors, which was one reason they were willing to extend this contract.
Tzu Chi volunteers work very hard to provide services for this community. I'd also like to express my gratitude for our seniors for participating and giving the volunteers a chance to offer services in this community.
Tzu Chi trained the first group of volunteers from Tongmen Village to be instructors in training, hosting this meal for seniors by themselves for the first time.
That's great. They know how to make good use of vegetables when cooking. We hope this event can bring seniors together in this village. If everyone works with one heart and cares for each other, love can be spread everywhere.
To allow Tzu Chi to grow in this village, love and care are needed. A meal not only brings seniors in community close together, but also promotes harmony, making this village a better place to live.
At the end of the program, we joined Tzu Chi volunteers in Malaysia as they donated 64 sturdy hospital beds to a medical center caring for the disabled. Knowing the center lacked funding to replace the worn-out bed frames and mattresses, volunteers pulled together to give the patients a better living condition. We will leave you with these images at the end of the program. Thank you for joining us. See you next time.